they said your name is disparaging to persons of Asian descent. And I took a second and I said, well, do they know we're of Asian descent?
Hi, I'm Meredith Bragg for ReasonTV. Today we are talking with Simon Tam. He is the bass player and the founder of the Slants. They are in Washington, D.C. They're going to play a few shows, but more importantly, they will be fighting for the right to trademark their name at the United States Supreme Court on Wednesday. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So very briefly, give us a quick history. Why did you form the band? How did you come up with the name?
Back in about 2004 or so, I had just moved to Portland, Oregon. I dropped out of college to tour in a punk rock band. Around that time period, someone said, hey, you should really check out this movie called Kill Bill. And I'm watching this movie in my apartment, and there's this really iconic scene. This woman named Oranishi, who kind of walks into this restaurant with all these mafia members behind her. And for most people, this is just another trademark Quentin Tarantino scene. But for me, it was like an epiphany. I just had to stop there, pause the film, and thought, why is this different for me? And then I realized it was the first time that I had ever seen an American-produced film that depicted Asians as cool, confident, and sexy. And I was like, wow, the art form that I love, music, has the same issue. There are no Asian Americans on the cover of Rolling Stone, on the Billboard charts, on Spin, on MTV back when they used to play music videos. So I thought, something's got to change. And so I wanted to not be the token guy in the band anymore. I wanted to start my own band that would just kind of celebrate that culture. And that's when I got the idea of starting this Asian American kind of project. Now, throughout that process, I started asking people hey, what's something you think all Asians have in common? I'm trying to think of a band name here. And they told me Slanted Eyes. And I thought, that's really interesting because number one, it's not true. But number two, we can use it and talk about our slant on life as people of color. And number three, it sounds like, the kind of a band Debbie Harry would front. So I was like, this is perfect. And so then we became the Slants.
You wanted to trademark your name. Why was that important?
We had been touring for a while, and we were already doing pretty well. We did a couple national tours. NPR All Things Considered did this story on us because we were busting into anime conventions and playing for this geek army. And around that time period, a friend of mine who's an attorney said, hey, Simon, I really think you should get a trademark on your band name. It's really important for bands to do who are going to the next level. And he said, let me handle it for you. It'll only be a couple $100, and in about 6 months, this whole thing will be over with. Of course, things turned out a little bit different because almost a decade later, here I am fighting for this right at the Supreme Court as well. But, it's interesting because when people are talking about these issues about trademark rights, they keep saying things basically saying it's not important for bands or musicians to have. They keep saying Mr. Tam can still use the name of the band if he wants. But the reality is that it affects musicians much more so than they think. When you don't have a trademark registration, it's way more difficult to get a record label offer or licensing deals or other things that are critical for a up and coming music business.
Did you think at the time that it was going to be provocative?
The name has never been provocative. I actually thought it was kind of funny. I thought, okay, we could kind of flip this slur around and do a positive, self-empowering kind of thing with the word. But that being said, I had never been called a slant my whole life. I've been called many other things, all sorts of colorful words that people can think of for Asian Americans. But slant was one of them. So I thought this is kind of a clever, fun take on it.
The U.S. Patent Office denied your trademark. Why?
When I first got the call for this, I thought it was a practical joke. And my attorney calls me and he says, hey, Simon, we've got a problem. The trademark office actually rejected your application. And I said, well, did I fill something out incorrectly? Did I do something wrong? He's like, no, all that's fine. He said, but they said your name is disparaging to persons of Asian descent. And I took a second and I said, well, do they know we're of Asian descent? We just did this tour. We worked with over 100 plus shows across America with Asian American festivals. Who did they find that said it was disparaging? And they said nobody. But they did cite urbandictionary.com. They found an old Wikipedia entry And then they showed a photograph of Miley Cyrus pulling her eyes back in a slant eye gesture. Are you serious? That's messed up. Like, you can't even put this stuff in a junior high classroom and have it accepted. Why is the government using this? So we decided to appeal. We thought they were just completely off base. And we found out over the years, over and over again, they continued to use like really questionable evidence just because they want to justify their decision, even though they knew it was wrong.
Especially in rock music, you came from a punk background. It is littered. The history of music and punk music and rock music is littered with names specifically designed to provoke. Why are those fine? And like, what's different about your band name?
So I'm not sure. I mean, when we asked them, we said, hold on a second, if slant is an inherent racial slur like you claim it is, why do you have over 800 other trademark registrations for slant? If it's really racist towards Asians, why did you give it out to hundreds of people, but you denied it in this case? The government said it is incontestable that the applicant is a part of an Asian group and is of Asian descent. In other words, what they're saying is the problem isn't with the name of the band, it's with us being Asian and using the name of the band. Because in their minds, if people go to a concert and they see a band called the Slants and there's a bunch of Asians on stage, or they go to theslants.com and they see photos of Asian Americans on there, they're going to automatically think of a racial slur and not any other possible definition. But by a logical construct, like that basically means anyone can register a trademark for the Slants as long as they're not Asian. So in their goal of trying to fight racism, they're denying me rights based on my race. And that's simply can't stand.
In your mind, who gets to decide what is offensive?
Yeah, I think offensiveness is up to the individual person. And really, it's up to you if you want to accept that offensiveness, like as an insult from someone else or not. It's not up to the government. You can't write a law about it, especially because cultures and language, they shift over time. Frankly, that's bad law. It's bad law to try and decide what's offensive and not. After this, we're hitting the road. We go on tour this spring, and we're going to do a cross-country tour. Of course, the Supreme Court decision is going to come out when it comes out, probably late summer, early fall. But we're going to continue recording music, playing it, touring, releasing music videos, and doing all the stuff that a band should do that doesn't have a giant court case hanging over its head. So we're really excited about it.